Hi friends, welcome to day 7 of the 10-day yoga challenge. Congrats on making it this far. You've already made it a whole week and just a couple more days to go. I hope you're having fun. I know I am. So before we move into today's topic, I'd like to review a little bit of what we have talked about so far. So first we talked about what is yoga. Yoga is to yoke, yoking of the mind, body, and spirit. Then we talked about the 8 limbs of yoga, and we went through each of the limbs so far. So we talked about the yamas, which are ethical guidelines, social disciplines, sometimes they're called. We talked about the niyamas, these more personal disciplines. We talked about asana, the physical practice of yoga. We talked about pranayama, the breath work or the life force restraint. So today we'll be talking about pratyahara, and this one can be a little bit confusing. Pratyahara is withdrawal of the senses, and that is easy to say and hard to achieve or explain, really. So essentially the goal here when we're working with pratyahara is that whatever external objects or noises or smells or whatever it is, that these things that stimulate our sensory organs, that those things will not distract us from what we have chosen to focus our mind on. So the idea of someone being really good with pratyahara, or someone who has dedicated a practice to pratyahara and spent a lot of time with it, that person could potentially meditate in a noisy room with no problems. So it's a very challenging thing to achieve, and it's really hard to even just know how to sit down and practice. So for me, and I'm again not an expert on this is a very challenging thing for me. The thing that I find easiest to work with is, especially when I'm doing yin yoga, I will do a lot of body scanning. I'll pay attention to what I'm hearing, what I'm smelling, all of those sensory organs, bring a little attention to those and then release. Notice what you're hearing and then release. And choose to turn your attention elsewhere. And that way you're able to be aware of where your mind really is. Because it can be really easy to be pulled in all these different directions and not even realize it. And so as we move through our practice today, we'll be doing a yin practice, which is nice and comfortable and slow. And we'll be really scanning our bodies a little bit and focusing on the senses and then releasing them. So it's a good way to take a step inward and then even past that. So go ahead and get your mat out and we'll get going.
Hi friends, go ahead and grab your props if you have them. A throw pillow will be great. Blocks if you have them, and a big fluffy blanket is really helpful. We'll be starting out in Garland Pose today, and this is a yogic squat, so you step your feet a little bit bigger than hip distance apart and then sink your hips between your knees. Now, this isn't comfortable for everyone, so there are a lot of variations. You can stack blocks and then sit on the blocks and step your feet out in front of you a little bit to ease up on the hips. You can also sit on a small stool or stack pillows or couch cushions. Any sort of support that you need underneath your hips in this pose is great. I personally like to do this one without anything under my hips just because it feels better for me that way. So whatever version feels best for your hips, go ahead and get set up in that version. Begin to fold forward a little bit and then look around. Notice what's going on in the room around you, what you see, the ceiling, the floor. Then take your attention to what you're hearing. Try to hear the furthest away sound that you can. Notice if you're smelling anything, if you have any tastes in your mouth. And then begin to notice how your clothes feel against your skin. Notice the sensations you're feeling, maybe in your hips, your knees, the back of your neck. And you can keep your hands in prayer here or rest them on the floor in front of you or on a pillow or block in front of you. Keep bringing your attention back to your breath and the sensations in your body throughout this pose. We'll be here for a few minutes. Gently begin to come out of this pose by straightening your legs and coming to a standing forward fold. You may need to move props out of the way if they're in the way. You can grab opposite elbows or keep your hands on the ground or props. Whatever feels better here, but keep it gentle and keep a bend in your knees. And then begin to step back to the mat. You'll come to a seat. We're coming to a wide straddle next, sometimes called Dragonfly, and so it may feel nice to sit on your blanket. I'm going to set mine to the side of my mat and then sit on it so that my heels can remain on my mat. Bring your legs as wide as you comfortably can, and then you'll begin to fold forward straight between your legs. It may be nice to grab a block for your forehead, blocks for your forearms, or to create a ramp with pillows and blocks. Those are all optional, and if you want to just walk your hands straight forward without any props, that is great too. As you're folding forward here, begin to look around. Notice what you're seeing around you, if anything has changed since the last pose. Then begin to listen. What can you hear? Take a moment to smell and notice if there are any new smells. See if you can notice the taste in your mouth. And then notice the way that your clothing feels, the way your inner thighs, your hamstrings, even your lower back feel in this pose. Keep bringing your attention back to these sensations and to your breath every time you notice your mind wandering. We'll be here for a couple of minutes. Very gently begin to walk your way up to a tall spine, and when you get to a tall spine, you can reach your hands up underneath your knees and gently lift your knees, planting your feet into the mat. And then begin to windshield wipe your knees side to side. You can plant your hands behind you for this, just to get a little bit of blood flowing. And then straighten your right leg out again and bring the sole of your left foot to your right inner thigh. Reach your arms up overhead, twist to your right leg, and fold. And you can use props for this again. Very optional, but a bolster or pillow underneath you can feel nice. A block under the forehead can be really nice, and you can stack them to create whatever height works for you. Once you get settled into your pose and you feel good, begin to look around. Take note if anything has changed visually. Begin to listen. Are there any new sounds? Are there any smells? Can you taste anything? What do you feel? Keep bringing your attention back to your breath and to the sensations in your body. Take one more breath in this pose, and then on your next inhale, slowly begin to lift up to a tall spine. You can take a counter pose by planting your left hand behind you and pushing into your left hand and left shin, reaching your right hand up and back for Stargazer. When you're ready, make your way out of your Stargazer, coming back to a seat, and then extend your left leg long and out to the side and bring the sole of your right foot to your left inner thigh. We'll create the same shape we did on the other side, so reach your arms up overhead, twist to your left leg, and then just fold forward, grabbing any props you might have used on the other side. Once again, you have the option, if you'd like, to explore your senses here. Sight, hearing, smell, taste, and whatever you're feeling here. We'll be here for a couple of minutes. On your next inhale, begin to come up to a tall spine. Once you come up to a tall spine, you have another option to take Stargazer, planting your right hand behind you, pushing into your right hand and right shin, and reaching your left hand up and back. And then make your way back to a seat, We'll take one more pose before we move into Shavasana, and this will be a combination of reclined fish and butterfly. So bring the soles of your feet to touch, and you can bring blocks if you have them right up under your knees. You can use pillows for this as well. The throw pillow will be behind your back, and you can grab a blanket and roll it up and then tuck the edges under your ankles for support. This is optional, but it does feel really nice, especially if your feet get cold. The top of the pillow should come in line with the top of your shoulders so that your head can come to the ground. If this is really intense on your neck, you can always grab another pillow and put it under your head as well. You should feel a bit of opening through your chest and neck throughout the pose, as well as your inner thighs. Your arms can stay on your belly, be down by your side, or be wide. And again, take this time to explore your senses. Sight, hearing, smell, taste, and feel. We'll be here for a few minutes. Begin to come out of this pose by extending your legs long, maybe kicking the blanket out of the way if you can. Then bring your elbows up underneath you, roll to one side, and come up to a seat. Move any props out of the way that you don't want to use for Shavasana, and grab any props that you do want to use. I'm going to use a blanket to bundle up. Now begin to lay back on your mat and get really comfortable here. You can have your arms and legs long, maybe a little bit to the side. Take up as much space as you'd like. Let all of your limbs be really heavy, and give yourself this time to fully relax. You might even close your eyes if it feels good. I'll let you know when it's time to come out of this. Begin to deepen your breath here. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. Shake your head side to side. Reach your arms up overhead. Take a nice long stretch. And then step your feet to the mat one at a time. You can roll to your right side, curl up into a fetal position, pause here. When you're ready, make your way up to a seat. You can come to Sukhasana or any other seat that you find comfortable. Take a deep breath in, reach your arms up overhead. Join me for a round of Om. Om. Thank you.